Hey, project class. I hope you're doing well. I want to talk to you about the System Design Worksheet 2. I've gotten a couple emails. I know people are a little nervous. If you see me look to the side, it's because I actually have the worksheet pulled up on my other screen so I can kind of go through it with you. So the purpose of this worksheet is, again, to get you in more to the details. Some of you are struggling getting down in the details. You've got this great broad picture, but then when I start asking more specifics, you kind of freeze. So the first question is, what outputs do you have from your system? Okay, so this might be a screen output, a report output. It will not be an object. In other words, unless you're using a 3D printer, your object of, if you're producing screws or widgets or whatever you're producing, if you're doing that, that is not the output from the computer system that I'm interested in. The way we're looking at things, that's the byproduct, because we're only interested in the computer processing component of the system. So that is looking for a screenshot, a report, sketch out what those should look like. You could do it in Word. You can put it on a piece of paper and scan it in. So what would that look like? Maybe it's an error report. Maybe it's warnings. Maybe it's violations of security or a violation of protocol. So think about what those look like. Okay, some of you will have a database and some of you are not going to have a database. Those of you that do need to start thinking along the lines of, okay, what's going to be in the database? You don't have to have everything, but let's start thinking about, I have to have employee records, or I need records of users, and this is what I want stored for those users. Maybe you have an ordering system and you have to keep customer orders and vendors. So those are two types of records you would have. So you need to get into that and think what that should look like. Are you going to use wireless, at least a wireless printer? If you do, what does that look like? What does that cost? How far will it reach? Do you need additional security for that? If you're using Bluetooth, what does that mean? Let's give a definition of Bluetooth. Let's say I'm going to use it with my phone when I work in. I want it to sync with whatever, okay? So think about that. What's your network? If you're doing a home network, what do you want it to look like, okay? Are you doing a hardwired network? What's your cable vendor? What are the lines coming in? Are they fiber optic or coax? Are you using coax in the house? Are you using Ethernet? Things like that. If it's a place of business, it's still the same thing. You might have a T1 or T3 coming into the business, and then you still have wires or wireless in a business. So that's what I'm looking for. What's there currently? You really probably should reverse 4 and 5. What do you currently have? So you might currently have a home network that, and it might not change that much. Maybe the change is going to be additional devices. So think about that. All of you won't need a website. Some of you are. Some of you are gonna want to, if you don't have a website, maybe you have an app. Okay, so you could put app in there. Do you need an app or a website? If so, what's that going to look like? How are people going to get the app installed? What should the home screen look at? What's the login? And the last question is about a VPN, because past projects have encountered this VPN. So I want you to define it, whether or not you use one. So give me a definition, and then what would it look like? Now, the purpose of all these detailed questions is on the next go round, you have to draw all this together into a comprehensive system with certain things left out, because we're not to maintenance, we're not to implementation. I won't want that. But everything else should be in great detail. In general, when we get to that point, if you turn in less than 20 pages, you probably haven't done enough. Not always, but a lot of times that's a good indicator. Now, This document is going to vary depending on your system. But here's the thing. If you told me your whole program or whole project is, I am creating a new program, okay, that's not enough. That's a portion of a project. If you were in the programming or application development area, you actually do a program, and that's the whole project. This is a broader project about communication, how you communicate, because your role in IT system support is of a communicator a lot of times. So I am looking for good grammar and correct punctuation, and if that's not your strong suit, please go to the Writing Center because you will get major deductions for that. So keep that in mind. I hope this helps. If you have any further questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Great day.